Sound in consumer available video games. It's been a topic long overlooked and undervalued in gaming since the very beginning. Starting from the Atari, it was the last amount of chip space, which was essentially just the bits left over from everything else being programmed at the time. When developing Pong, the game developers, or to put more accurately, game programmers, because they were literally working on the microchip, had to drastically change their sound plans when they realized there'd be no room for what they wanted the game to be modeled after. So basically, instead of hearing what we hear today, we would hear something more like this. This perspective is huge in terms of video games because due to this lack of technology available, something happened in the interaction between player and game that involved sound. Sound to a gamer became abstract, a reference to something physical, creating a space and place for sound to represent, well, other sounds. Game sound we hear today still have this chip-based envelope attached to it in many examples. Intro to our case study. Swords hitting objects, steps taken while running, rain falling, but it still goes back to the audio cues or displays to mark certain elements of the game. This abstraction of sound not only creates sound cues to be made as a referent then, it almost develops it into a language itself. In Zelda, longtime players of the franchise come to know when a phase of conflict is over, just beginning, or even provide a sense of where they are on the map. What is interesting, though, is that these sounds can then, if they are a language of their own, contribute to the game's overall narrative on its own. As such, I took the 1998 title, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and played through the game's first dungeon while listening to the sounds of the dungeon itself, as well as Link's presence in the dungeon, and how his movements and actions change the soundscape of the dungeon itself. What could we expect when we watch the same footage again? What does modulation of sounds do, and how would this further impact the experience of Ocarina?
Alright, I gotta be honest. I just spent forever blocking these stupid shots, so, speedrun!
Looking through this resonified version, what do you think is more favored towards gaming? A strive towards more realism, a strive towards the abstract, or does it really depend on the genre that we're dealing with? In terms of The Legend of Zelda or other Nintendo titles, there is a seem to exploit nostalgia and really have a callback to language that past gamers can call back on with a sense of fondness. But is that true for every title? And how does that differ as we go towards games that are maybe more or less analogous to reality?